let me begin with acknowledging Toddy as well as Ash, who had a very interesting conversation with Mr. Shelton. So if you're just coming into the ring in terms of what is happening, who cares about Shelton? Why is this so controversial? Well, Shelton spent a long time in the Sea Org. He left the cult over a decade ago, but a lot of people have suspected he's not exactly as anti-cult as he makes himself out to be. So two major controversies with him are his level of expertise and him overselling how much he really knows, and just his qualifications to give therapy and advise people. There's also the controversy that he may have, and I'm being very generous, I think this is a fact, but we can differ how bad it was, of helping Karen and Jeff, who were basically trying to control a lot of the ex Scientologists for decades for their own purposes. And it got really bad, and some of this has been definitely confirmed with Steve Mango. He provided a lot of evidence there. And Chris Shelton was their ally, helping to basically accuse and attack people of being OSA without any evidence and control them. And one of these prominent critics was Alonzo, and Alonzo's blog has provided a lot of evidence that, yeah, Alonzo was personally attacked by Chris Shelton. So that's Shelton's very murky past, and Toddy decided to intervene on the expert question, but we're also going to treat the more difficult OSA character assassination question.
What is it? You're not on the Aftermath Foundation. You talk about bringing people up, helping people up, and not tearing people down. But you have torn down people, even if it was Aaron.
Right, so Toddy is referring to Shelton's basic, we'll say, public persona, where he tries to come off that he is not toxic, and it's his opponents who are toxic, and he's trying to be the positive one, being very anti-cultish, very anti-Hubbard. But again, it's just a lot of mixed messages when you go to his own content, when he does other interviews with people, or when he's challenged, he just attacks, calls people trolls, OSA, so on and so forth, and yet he himself is doing all this weird covert stuff. Now, to give him some credit, in this interview with Ash, he seems to be reforming slightly, and he seems to be saying that from now on he is going to emphasize giving people hope and turning away from the negativity.
Just so important. And I think offering hope can be more valuable than even any educational model that can be shared with survivors of abuse. Yeah.
Yep, I agree completely. And I wouldn't have necessarily said that a couple months ago. And that apparently is such a powerful thing to teach someone and get them and get across to them so that they really think that's true.
It's all nice and good, but there's a bit of a catch there where he says, let's not hang on to the objective truth. I was being a little too upset over those things. I'm not like that anymore. Let's think about the hope and the process and just helping people escape cults, which you think is all nice and good, but then this is where he's trying to get out of his past lying. And I don't know if Alonzo has provided this yet, but Alonzo states for a fact that yes, he did put himself out as a psychologist, apparently qualified to give therapies, and he put this out in tweets. So this is a fact. He did lie about how qualified he was. And you can kind of see he's having it both ways, saying, guys, all right, I did things in the past. Let's stop talking about that. Objective truth, logics. No, we're here to have good feelings and hope and just help one another. It's really about the help, and I'm just helping people in their process. Oh, that sounds all nice and good. But again, is it really about helping other people? There's a moment where Ash was speaking with him, and Ash was a little bit very honest about how too many people in this anti-cult field of so-called experts, they're really just a bunch of egomaniacs. And let's just look at Chris's reaction.
There's a lot of egos in the field. There's a lot of egos in the field, and I hate to say it, but I'm saying it, I'm on the record. There's a lot of egos in the field, in the cult recovery field, people. And it sucks.
You see how he lights up like a Christmas tree there?
Well, I agree with Toddy. That was a very big tell that Shelton was just smiling like a crazed dog. Like, haha, yeah, a lot of egomaniacs in the anti-cult industry. Right. So he is self-aware that he's obviously indicating himself, but he's not saying it. Now, more recently in his content, he will note very explicitly he is not a therapist. He cannot offer therapy. So he has gone a little bit better in being upfront that he can do certain things, he knows certain things, but other things he cannot be qualified for. But again, I think it's because cumulatively people have kept pressing him on these issues, and he has to admit, okay, fine, I'm not really an expert on this. I'm not really a psychologist. So he has gotten better, but it's kind of like he's being forced to be better. So is this a real change of heart, or has he just been, he doesn't really have a choice. He has to try to give out a new public persona. Again, is this really a new Chris, or is it just he's going to repackage himself but keep the old poison in the background? I don't know. I've never met the man. We have to be a little worried about Chris. He may not be on the reform path as much as we think he is, but maybe he has actually reformed. We'll have to wait and see.